Should you or I or anybody have to give up their Second Amendment rights because of something that their husband or wife did? Yes, your husband or wife or your rights. Let's talk about that. Before I jump into this one, I want to thank the sponsor of the video, and that is Blackout Coffee. Blackout Coffee is saving the day on this trip, and you can check us out at blackoutcoffee.com/GNG. We have a ton of coffees, both whole bean and ground. We also do loose leaf teas. We also have flavored coffee, flavored teas, and hot chocolate. It's getting that time of year again, and you can have some great hot chocolate from blackoutcoffee.com/GNG. You want to try it? You can save 10%, code GNG10. Thanks to Blackout Coffee for sponsoring the video. So this case I'm going to talk to you about, I'm going to give you a preface. I got some dust in my eye. This is another case where the person we're talking about is not the perfect example. And I'm bringing this to you because I want to hear what you think in this scenario, because this could happen to any one of us. The story is this gentleman who lives in Florida, this couple lives in Florida. He got hurt at work. He's 60 years old, fell off a DOT truck, Department of Transportation in Florida, hurt his back, and was given opiates. And many of you are already shaking your head because you know how the story goes. He ended up addicted to opioids. And when the laws changed, which made them harder to get, he turned to the streets and started to get his fix on the street, okay? Now, he one night had a bender, was on several different illegal drugs, including cocaine, and he was going door to door, allegedly, with a rifle. He had shot some rounds in the street. One round had penetrated another house across the street, and he was arrested, obviously. And he was saying to the police that he was fighting off people who were trying to kill him and his family. Nobody corroborated that in the neighborhood. Nobody saw anybody chasing him. And last week, well, before we get to last week, he was arrested. His guns were removed from the home, including 3 guns that weren't even his. They belonged to his son. And last week, he had his day in court, and his plea deal was placed before him, one that he agreed to. His plea deal would keep him out of prison because he was going to get sentenced to 19.5 years in prison. And the plea deal said basically that if your wife gives up her concealed carry permit and all of her guns and every round of ammunition she has from the home, then you'll only get 5 years of state probation, state supervised probation. Now, here is the conundrum. He did something messed up. He was not somebody that the Florida justice system said, we're not taking a plea, you're going to jail because what you did was so egregious. They were willing to let him out with a slap on the hand at the peril of his wife. His wife was made to stand before the court, and they explained to her what was going to happen, that she would have to give up her rights forever just to be able to keep her husband out of prison. In fact, I'm going to show you a statement from the judge. Here's the judge on screen. It's Judge Shannon McPhee, and this written statement was through his spokesperson, Sarah Miles, the public information officer for Florida's 20th Judicial Circuit. And this says, Mr. Ralph Maroc accepted a plea to the charge of shooting at or within a dwelling, second-degree felony in the state of Florida. Additionally, this plea calls for Mr. Maroc to be registered as a convicted felon. The assistant state attorney clearly announced the plea deal to Mr. Maroc that included no longer being allowed to lawfully possess a firearm or ammunition or a concealed weapon or the ability to vote, etc. These implications were discussed with Mr. Maroc, and he voluntarily agreed to these terms with his plea, which is a downward departure based on the plea bargain agreement between counsel. Mr. Maroc scores out to 19.5 months in prison. Instead, Mr. Maroc received at least 5 years state probation. The court became aware that Mrs. Maroc has a concealed weapons permit and may have weapons stored in the home, which would subject Mr. Maroc to a violation of probation and potentially going to prison. Judge McPhee was taking the necessary time to ensure that Mrs. Maroc understood the terms of the attorney's negotiated plea, and if she was in objection, then the court would not accept this plea. Mrs. Maroc was in agreement with the plea deal and pledged not to have any weapons in the home being shared with Mr. Maroc, a convicted felon. So, I guess good on her for standing by her man, but she chose to give up her rights. She turned over her concealed handgun permit. She turned over every firearm. She turned over every round of ammunition to keep her husband out of jail. Now, there's so many factors in here and why I want to hear what y'all think. There's, your spiritual beliefs, till death do us part, your vows, your individual liberty. And somewhere in between is the decision that everybody would make in this scenario. I think it's terrible that a judge did this to this woman, placed her basically in a scenario. It's either like, do you want to be free and have your rights, or do you want your husband? That's shame on that judge. That should not be something that is a normal outcome to a criminal trial. Let me know what you guys and gals think. I think this is terrible. I think she did what she believed was best for her marriage, her relationship, her husband, maybe to help him get some treatment and stuff like that. I don't know anything further than what was released, and I'll have a link to the article if you would like to read it. But I don't know. I mean, yeah. What do you guys and gals think? I don't even know if I could make that decision. Like, I love my wife, absolutely love my children, and I'll never do anything to put them in this scenario. But I also love my rights. What say you guys and gals? I want to hear what you say, because this one will make you think. Link is down below. Appreciate every single one of you. Check out Blackout Coffee. Until we see each other again, be safe, stay vigilant, and carry a gun to keep you, your friends, your family, your community safe. See you all on the next one. Take care.